Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel on YouTube, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the Challenge 39, episode 18. That's right, I'm your host, Chris, and with me again today is my co-host, my ride or die, the BK himself, Kahuna. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. I'm excited because actually I'm mixed. I'm a little bit mixed because of this final, right? Like we
Yeah.
are in a final, which I'm always excited for. But I feel like the people in it is a little bit of a letdown after the real high of the last few episodes. And then I'm also like seeing the writing on the wall that we mentioned the last couple of weeks, and I'm deflated, but it's the final, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to see what the challenge always throws out in these circumstances.
Yeah, I think I'm the same as you. I have my highs and my lows about the final so far. Overall, I think production has done a really good job with how they've structured the final. I've enjoyed how they've structured the final. And again, I think production's done a really good job this season in putting the season together. Like, if people look at this season at the end of this and they're disappointed, I think a lot of it's going to be, again, due to some of the casting choices and due to the result. Like, if we're results focused and we're focused on the people who made the final opposed to those who didn't get there, or maybe some of the people who didn't get a call to come onto the season who we would have loved to have seen on the season, then yes, obviously it's going to be a letdown for a lot of people. But if we can look beyond that and look at the production and how they've put it together, I've actually been pretty high on this so far. I like the fact that they're willing to take risks, mix up the format of the game. I wasn't a big Skulls fan. I know a lot of people love the Skulls. To me, that was an interesting twist that didn't work. But I like the fact, even in the final, they're like, you know what, we're going to do this again. We're going to have the 3 different themes that we had in the season. We're going to do that in the final. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts were and how that played out. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I just want to say hello to a few people. Danica sadly can't make it tonight, but for very good reason. It's going to be his son's birthday, so she's out celebrating. Priorities, Danica. If you do listen back to this at a later stage, happy birthday to your son. And also, it's going to be Chris's birthday this Sunday. So, Chris, happy birthday. I really hope you have a great weekend, and that you've got some fun plans coming up. Lena is all the way in my hometown in Cape Town. So not sure how much of the show she's going to see before she falls asleep.
Tell her where to go. Tell her some restaurants.
Yeah, well, listen, there's plenty. It depends on where in Cape Town you are, because Cape Town's massive. There's plenty of places to go to while you're there. But if you need advice, hit me up, on socials or anything like that. I'm more than happy to give you some ideas for places you want to go. If you can go to Stellenbosch, very good wine region. There's would be some nice wine tours in that region and things like that, where you can do wine tasting and all that. And then obviously you've got to go up Table Mountain. Table Mountain is beautiful, and the view from up there is just stunning. And if you want to see where the Challenge World Championship took place, it's going to be in Greenpoint. That's like the area is called Greenpoint. It's where the Cape Town Stadium's at, where they started the whole Challenge World Championship. So plenty of great locations that you can go visit there. And I hope my people over there in Cape Town treat you well. I know they will. They love people traveling there as well. Willie, welcome back. You Bearcat, welcome back. YouTube Bearcat, I should say, very, very active in the comment section after our videos always. And I always appreciate all those comments that you leave for us to go and sort of respond back to afterwards. So for those who do watch this at a later stage, feel free to comment below on any of our thoughts afterwards. I always try and read as many of them as I can. Chris is saying the vibes are off in the finals so far. We'll talk about that. Darren saying, Emmanuel, cry, cry, cry. We've got JG3MM. What's up, guys? Hello. Victoria's back in the live. So happy to finally catch you live. Love you guys. I feel like I've seen you before, Victoria. Is this your first time? Let us know. Dolores, welcome back as well. You said it right. Mixed. I'm not sure how I feel about the final, although I feel it's more on the finalists. Yeah, I don't think it's a production thing. I think, like I said, the production for me of this final has been put together pretty well. And in some ways, I feel like sometimes there's points in a final when you watch the challenge where you feel things are disputed. Like, to me, I think the results are undisputed at this stage, which is good. If there's no controversy, Kahuna, with production intervening, then that's a good final in my mind.
Well, that's exactly right. Like the rumors that have swirled and the conspiracy theories for so many years, this is a perfect example, right? Because if they were ever going to rig it, it would be to not have these people in the final when they've just had Michelle go out, Horacio, Kyla, and Olivia,
Jay,
and then
they've put a lot
Jay.
of effort into Jay, like 4
Yeah,
seasons.
like there's no chance it's rigged at all. This is the perfect example.
Yeah, totally agree. Bernard, Colleen know what they were getting themselves. Did they know what they were getting themselves into? Colleen, I feel like, in my opinion, if we are talking about people that I thought would gas out, struggle, yes, she's had a couple of last places, but I feel like Colleen's been very unlucky in this final, just with the pairings.
Yeah.
A couple of times where maybe it would have been better, like, for instance, her and Nerys getting paired together to do the box, where she already struggled, not having like a male partner, having to pull that. So I feel like Colleen, and then she was like, I don't think that's a fair comment for, like, I've been hard on Colleen. I still don't think Colleen's the most entertaining TV. I've half of the time zone out when she talks to the camera, but I don't think it's fair to say that she's been struggling in this final, Kuna, at this point. She's just unfortunate.
It's completely circumstantial, and maybe, or not maybe, definitely a victim of the format. Like, again, the fact that it's all in men versus women, only one champion, and you get potential rounds where it's 2 men. Like, what if Emmanuel and Corey had gotten the heavy box one?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, it just ends up
They would've
being
just
so
smoked
unfair
everyone.
on specific legs. Yeah, absolutely. Emmanuel already is, but you know,
Yeah. Chris, obviously, and then Lena saying close to the waterfront. So if you're close to the waterfront, Lena, you're basically walking distance away from where the Challenge World Championship started. That big stadium, that is where they had their first challenge. So if you ever wanted to go around there, great place. And I really do hope you enjoy your time there. We've got Angel Cake in the live as well. Good evening, sir. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've been enjoying the season as well. For everybody that's not aware, and I'm sure everybody here does know about the Angel Cake Entertainment channel, he's been doing a lot of exit press with contestants this season as well on his channel, as well as covering the show on a weekly basis. So go check out the Angel Cake channel as well, everyone. Hollis, welcome as well. King Cooper, welcome back as well. Stuck in traffic. Well, let us entertain you, because I know there's nothing worse than being stuck in traffic. So hopefully this is going to be a really good evening. We had someone just freak out that Angel Cake is here. Yeah, YouTube Bearcat saying, oh my God, it's Angel Cake. He's in the live. The Drew Man is in the house. And yes, say hello to everybody. Everybody say hello to Angel Cake. Let's get into it. Let's start with the beginning of this episode, Kahuna. We talked about this a little bit last week. They had the party scene, TJ coming into an our mind. It was to probably ruin the party and say the final starts here, right now. But they took a different angle here. They took, I guess, some notes from Survivor and brought in the loved one notes. What did you think of all of the crying, that happened in this moment? I feel like this, yeah, it was interesting. I've got thoughts, but what's your thoughts on the fact that they stole a little bit of a Survivor idea here?
Hated it. It's like, why are they trying to be Survivor? Like, we've been talking for so long about how the challenge is kind of ahead of Survivor at the moment. Like, it just feels different. The actual challenges that they make, the dailies, all that sort of thing. Whereas Survivor feels so stagnant and the same. And then they're copying it. And also, it feels weird because, like, we've seen Emmanuel talk to his mum via video chat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they talk to her, they get those calls. It may not be every day, but they get an actual conversation with video chat versus here's a letter you wrote 3 months ago that we've got a fax copy of. Now cry. Like, what? I don't. It's not the same context as on an island completely isolated by yourself versus talking to them multiple times during your stay, you know?
Yeah, but still, they were crying like they've been isolated from these people, like they were on an island playing Survivor, which was funny to see. For me, one of the most interesting things was how they had Emmanuel get a letter from his girlfriend and then talk about how bad he feels that he's been hooking up with all of the girls on the show. And I kind of felt like the show wanted us to look at Emmanuel as like, oh, look at this lovable guy. Like, he's actually not that bad. Even though he's got a girlfriend, he's been hooking up with girls on the show. He's a good guy. You know, he's a good guy. He's doing this for his mother, just to try and like get people to look away from the fact that he's been a bit of a dirty dog on there. And I'm obviously, I know that he's not the only one. I'm not saying that, like, there's a lot of other champions in the past that have cheated, have done all this stuff on the show. So Emmanuel's not the exception. But I just found it very interesting, that angle. And then
I can't believe he didn't get a letter from his mum.
yeah, it was shocking. Yeah. You kind of
banging on about her.
Yeah. So very, very interesting. You could have missed me with it. I did enjoy a little
what about
bit
the burner thing. Burner and like,
yeah.
Burner, just the whole thing. Like, she mentioned once to Emmanuel 2 weeks ago that, you know, she doesn't have a good relationship with her mum. It never came up before then, has not been a thing. And then she gets upset that she doesn't get a letter from the mum that she doesn't have a relationship with and says doesn't love her, and then starts crying and stuff. And then Colleen actually gets a letter from her mum. and she can't enjoy it. She can't appreciate the fact that she doesn't have a great relationship with mum. She got the letter because she has to freaking comfort Burner. It makes it all about her, like on the floor, screaming and crying. It's like, what? Everyone got a letter, man. Like, shut up. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, all of us in the live and on this podcast, I'm just going to say we're all very cold. Like, you know, we're all like, leave the love notes, leave the letters. Let's just get into the final. But yeah, listen, I do think sometimes it can give you a little bit of a better understanding of why people act and do things in the way that they do. I think for me personally, again, I know a lot of people are going to not like it. I kind of like Corey's letter and him explaining a little bit about his backstory and, you know, not having had approval from his dad or his family growing up, being gay, being a gay black man, which we know in that community, that was something that for a long time was not kosher. I don't know if it is now, but, you know, again, it's something that it gives you a different understanding of Corey coming into the final. And I've got some thoughts on Corey because he's been like a yo-yo in my mind. Like, there's been times where I've been man, I'm standing with this guy. I want him to do really well. And then there's times I'm like, you're frustrating. Yeah. And then again, in the final, I think he may have gone up in some people's estimation a little bit, but we'll talk about that.
I think the letters thing overall, I really think it was just production went, oh no, we have a finals with people nobody cares about. We need to make something that people can like hook into. Like, they need to care about these finalists in some way or another. Let's have a tear fest. Let's have the cry stories, just so we can actually care about people that, we don't give a shit about anymore, except for Nerys. Everyone's invested in Nerys, but like having a story like that for Corey, you said helped a lot, you know?
Yeah, Angel K coming in hot, saying Burner cried more this episode than I think Josh cried in his entire challenge career, it felt like. I feel like if Angel Cake was on the podcast with us, he would have a massive rant about this. This would be one of those things that we would get really into because people have been coming for Josh for a very, very long time because of all of the crying. But I think that Burner, it has been frustrating. I will say this, Drew, for me personally, every time Burner cries, I die a little bit inside, but I'm also very happy because I know I'm getting confessional points since she's in my draft. So I'm like, cry all you want, Burner.
Eyes on the prize.
Let it all out, Burner. Let us know. I'll I'm more than happy to take one for the team there so that we can get the points on the draft. But so obviously they start this final. TJ tells them 356K is up for grabs. They're going to do this final in the same format that we've seen this whole season, with there being a control, chaos, and conquest portion of it. Control, they're going to have to work together as a team. And then obviously in chaos, which we've just seen, they're in pairs or duos. And then when they go into the final, the conquest part of it, that is when they're going to run it solo. A lot of people here earlier asked, if we think that it's going to be all of the time for these different segments counting together for the fastest time. Angel Cake says Colleen has been fined for 3 timeouts. Eating was Bernard's fault, but Colleen has been sort of mid. That's fair. That's one of our earlier sort of comments. And then he sort of responded saying, I doubt the times for chaos counts towards conquest. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either, because
different portions of the game. It's like
yeah,
almost like a reset after you do an elimination,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume so, but the point of the time is to get the power and the advantage, right? And
Yeah.
to going into it for whatever Emmanuel's going to have with that, rather than counting towards the end. I think they like to do the reset even when it wouldn't make sense, and here it makes sense to reset.
I totally agree. And what did you think of the fact that we were sort of going to mimic what the season was about, and then specifically with this first portion where it's controlled, they were up to potentially lose $14,000. Is that quite brutal? Because we've never really seen money taken away like this. Do you think that this cast just paid for the appearance fee of one of the contestants, maybe like a TJ coming back, or I know CT coming back, or whoever
Yeah.
they're getting back on season 40? Maybe the appearance fee was paid by them losing this $14,000.
It does, like, we know that this season is a cost-cutting measure, and the fact that they're still trying to, like, I appreciated the book ending, the mirroring, the fact that the final replicates what we kind of did in the whole season. I like that as a storytelling tool, but I would have liked it the other way. You lost money at the start. Now's your chance to build up that kitty a little bit in the control. Is it control? Yeah, in the control section.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. Some of the money that you lost, like they do on the traders, right? You lost all this money throughout the season. Here's that one challenge where you can build it up a little bit, or even do it like on an individual basis. I don't know how.
Well,
like,
I will say one thing. I will say one thing in production's defense. Yes, I agree with Hunter Green. Production is tight on budget this season, and they're obviously trying to save because they wanted season 40 to be extraordinary, and you can't blame them for that. But the one thing I will say is that at least, even though they've taken that the 16K away, they didn't dip into the prize pot of the winner at the end of control. They actually said the winner will outright still get the money that is owed to them. And then what they will do is they will still give 60K to second place and 30K to third place, which I prefer. I don't like it when it's on the winner to split the money if they want to with second and third place. Like, don't put it on the winner. Actually have it as a separate price. So at least they're actually paying out a little bit more than what it probably looks like, because they've got that clear prize for second and third as well.
But it's still from the total pool, isn't it?
No, it's not from the pool, from my understanding.
No, it was 340 after they lost all the money, and I think it's 250 and then the 60 and 30, whatever it is, no? Or he gets the full thing.
I think they went in, and this is where
Maybe
chat can help us. Someone may have listened to this more.
I'm not
more than
standing
once.
on that at all. I'm not.
I thought he
said
it was. I thought he said that they won't cut into the winners.
Okay, sorry.
But I could be wrong. So someone can correct us in the live here if they know the answer. But anyway, so this first part of the chaos one is one where chaos control is one where they have to run together. They're all tied together in a rope. And immediately we knew that there was going to be some difficulty here with some of the players because they're not all at the same fitness level. Berna immediately struggling, dragging her feet in the running portion here to try and get to this abandoned building where they had to get all of the different colored ropes, then run back to where TJ is to actually do this rope puzzle. What did you think of this? Did you like the fact that they had to work together? Did you think that this played out well? We've never seen this, as far as I'm aware, in a final where one whole final has to work towards a common goal here to try and sort of save money in the game.
Yeah. I like the challenge itself. Like it put that element of it's just endurance, like, or at least what we saw, because we didn't really get much of the puzzle side completed, or to see how difficult that might have ended up being. But it looked like long. It looked hard. It was a grueling sort of run. Carrying the ropes looked really difficult for some of them, especially Corey, apparently, because he's the biggest, strongest one of the 9. But it certainly was a good challenge level, like final level intro. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, 100%. So a lot of people coming in here, helping us out. Thanks live, saying before the loss in control, it was 250K, 70K, then 36K. So basically, they only took money away from second and third place. So that's where I got confused, because I heard TJ say we're not cutting into the winning money,
Yeah.
but now I get it. So second and third was that's the two
Just
people that got hurt the most
production
by
hates these people. They're like, this season, we're like, no.
Nah, we're
Screw you.
you guys are gonna be in pain. But very interesting, obviously, in this specific, section of the final with control, them going in there, getting the ropes, then running back. Corey ends up taking the orange ropes. I thought it was a smart move because clearly physically he is the biggest guy. He had to carry more ropes than anyone else going back. But Corey being Corey seems to be someone that's a bit clumsy, seems to be someone that can be, I don't know, like almost like he's not switched on at all times. He loses a rope, and they even had it on the camera happening in slow-mo, how he lost the rope. So it's so convenient that they actually had that. And I didn't think much of it until the next pair, I believe it was Jay and Emmanuel, ran past it, and they were like, oh, Corey's dropped the rope. And he had to go all the way back. Now, Kuna, do you think production told him? Because if this was like Tori or Fessy or someone like that, they would have been putting the ropes down and then would have run back to go get the other rope and then come back. Like, why did he keep all the ropes? Like, it seemed like a very dumb thing to do, both ways. Like, it just didn't make sense to me.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, did they tell him he had to do that? Because that's dumb. Because at one point, like when he sort of realized, he'd thrown all the ropes off and they were on the floor, and he was kind of exasperated and frustrated with himself. And I thought, okay, well, just sprint. Like, leave the ropes there. Like, the rules have never been you have to have it on you at all times. You have to bring it across the line, right? Like, if you drop something, you can run back and get it as long as you come back with everything at the end. So I don't know if that was on him. If that was on him, holy crap, that's a massive mistake.
Yeah, and King Cooper saying, I'm so confused on how Mariah didn't see the rope, because
The bright orange neon one.
Yeah, she was in first, and she was like, "Nah, I didn't see it." So again, shows you that more than one person maybe not paying too much attention out there. Angel Cake saying,
"Yep." The disadvantage of, like, I don't. When this happened, I was like, I don't necessarily understand the logic behind as soon as you can get your 3, unhook and go, because then we have this, like, Corey was so far ahead that he had to come all the way back before anyone ever noticed the rope was there. You know what I mean? Like, if he had people closer behind him or with him, perhaps, or something like that, rather than just walking solo for 45 minutes or however long it was, it wouldn't have been so bad. So but there was no advantage to going quickly, was there? To getting there first, because you still had to wait.
They had to work together, yeah. But I think it was just because it was so much heavier.
Some people would be slower. Some people,
yeah, just get ahead of it. JGS3MM saying Corey is a mess, not a fan. Then Angel Cake saying Burner had an injured groin earlier in the season when they had to do the Doomstick challenge, but one drum roll, then had another injured groin. And then YouTube Cat says, I kind of think Burner is faking it. And to be honest, you give her benefit of the doubt, but there's a point in the final where she actually says to Emmanuel when they're doing the kayaking, she's like, I suck at running. I hate running. So I really think it's more the fact that people are fit in different ways. I don't think Berna is a runner, and I don't think she trains to run all that often. And it's very easy just to say, oh, my groin, because she's tired and doesn't want to look weak in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I fully believe it either. And I'm not in her body. I can't say what
after a dominant performance on the hamster wheel one. Like, unless she injured it on the hamster wheel, right? But she didn't say anything in there, or didn't come up there. But like, she won. She literally won the most previous day, and then saying, "Oh, I'm injured,"
Yeah, 100%. Now, obviously, they finally get back there, but they're unable to complete the puzzle. They weren't even close. Even when Jay was out there, 2 minutes left, keep running. Think about your dad. You can do this, and like motivating him to get there. They weren't close. There was never going to be a thing where they were going to finish that puzzle in time. But they lose the $16,000, and then TJ drops one of the bombs of all bombs here, saying, we're going to have an elimination right here, right now, like Right Said Fred. And he basically said, let's get this thing going. And I was surprised that when they came together, it wasn't a very easy choice for people just to keep throwing Arisa's name down there to go into this potential elimination. Everybody kind of stood firm. They wanted Corey to go in there. Do you think that that was really because they were so annoyed with Corey dropping that rope at that moment, and that they let the emotion and that emotion sort of take over the strategic side of their brain, and they just said, let's just throw Corey in there? Because Corey being someone that can be a bit of a klutz, like, you kind of want to run against the guy that makes mistakes like this in the final, wouldn't you? Like, what do you think the thinking was here? Because it was interesting strategy for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that had to play a part in it. Like they like it's raw. It's immediately after that, and they are pissed. They just ran, and they're tired, and Burner's injured, and she pushed through her injury to then have it count for nothing, and not even count for nothing. Like where they added something to actually lose money. Like they
Mm,
are pissed at Corey. But I hope that there's strategy involved because at that point, it's Jay, Corey, and Emmanuel, right? And you want to put two men in. Corey is the biggest and the strongest, and we saw in that the fastest. Like he was like he was quick out the game. I think he kind of took Jay by surprise a little bit with how fast he was. So they wanted to put two dudes in there, and which is the absolute smartest thing to do. Whether you pick between Corey and Emmanuel, I don't know, like who at up to this point, who's showing you that they're better?
yeah, Emmanuel. Like
Emmanuel, so
Emmanuel,
should put Emmanuel
if
in.
you're trying to play the game to win, you're taking out Emmanuel, right? You're putting Emmanuel in. You're hoping. Well, Emmanuel probably would just take someone on that he thinks he can beat easily, and that's another
This is
reason why
stage
they maybe
one.
couldn't
This
do
is
it.
stage one, though, right? They haven't done the next bit where
That's
Emmanuel
fair.
really dominated, and
Yeah,
up until now, like, do that, like, who look like, I don't know, like the data that they've got to go off of is Emmanuel to them streets ahead of Corey. I mean,
I feel like he is.
yeah,
I feel
okay.
like he is. Like
Well, there
even
you
up until
go.
this point. But
That's the decision they made, and
yeah,
also they were pissed off at they were pissed off the thing. They should.
yeah,
Then
and
that
they
means they were
also
pissed off more. That means they were
Maurice
pissed
also
off more
brought
on the
up
strategy.
Nerys also brought up you want someone in the next round that you can sort of rely on. But if that was the case, you throw Burner in. Like after that first part, you'd be like, oh, I don't know if I can work with Burner. I don't know if I want to be teamed up with her. I'll just throw her in. So we've got a strong,
Yeah.
field when it comes to working with these random duos in the next round. I do want to read a couple of comments. Darren says, definitely, Chris. After that challenge, Burner jumped up into Emmanuel's arms, where I said that, the kayaking challenge was interesting. She did pretty well there and obviously didn't need to run. But Thana comes out in defense of Burner here, saying, I had an injured groin back when I did cheerleading. Certain things were excruciating and other things I barely noticed. So I've never had an injury like that, so I wouldn't be able to know. So not great. And I mean, again, like I said, I'm not in her body. I don't know what she was going through while she was out there. It just doesn't look good. Angel Cake saying craziest part of the final so far is Emmanuel dabbing.
Yeah, I love that.
I was like,
You know,
I was thinking to myself, like, that's what my nephew does, and he's 10 years old, Emmanuel. Like, are you 10 years old?
no, you know what went through my head? I was like, oh,
He's a
that
dancer,
just
remember?
got to Romania. In Romania, dabbing's like current and cool.
Yeah. And he's a
You
dancer,
know how
remember?
everything's like the 80s came to like Eastern Europe in like the 2000s? Like,
Yeah. He had
I
to
just
flex.
imagine dabbing is like the thing now, today. Like all the kids are dabbing.
Chris saying it is crazy that those polls were color coded for them. It would have been impossible for them to lose the portion, but they still did amazing. Yeah. And okay, so let's talk a little bit about the elimination itself here. Corey gets selected. Corey has an open field, can choose anyone at this point. Were you as surprised as I did that he actually ended up choosing Jay? Like, how did this come? Like, I didn't ever see him and Jay like feuding over anything up until this point in the game. So it kind of felt a little bit left field. And maybe I've got short-term memory. I am watching a lot of different shows at the moment. Where did this rivalry come from? Where he was like, I've never really trusted Jay. Jay's been very wishy-washy on me the whole season. Do you think this may be conversations that Michelle and him had about Jay and Jay sort of running the show and not always being completely cool with Corey in the game? Like, it felt left field to me.
Well, he's Michelle's contact, right? He's not Jay's. Like he's through Michelle, so has Jay as an acquaintance of acquaintance. That was oh man, yeah. Okay, that's fair. I'll take that back.
You're
But
picking a fight with the whole of
that's what I
Romania,
just
Kahuna.
laughed at when I first saw it. I was like, okay, is that what's going on? But
Emmy's
Corey,
coming for you.
yeah, Corey's friends with Michelle, not necessarily Jay, and I think he just saw like the way Jay kind of took his villain arc, his turn. Like he backstabbed Nerys, he which Corey's against anyway. He was voting against it, but he saw what Jay did, um, the way he treated Michelle, some of the cracks that were starting to form. I think it just sort of was like I don't necessarily get why he did it if he's going into an elimination with him, like maybe pick burner that you want to go
Mm.
against, like you know what I mean? Like why would you pick potentially the best person there to knock you out? But I appreciate that he wanted to take him out for the final, but just not that you want to go against him. Like I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Dolores here says, I think Corey picked Jay because he stated earlier that he hurt his ankle. I know that he said that when
Yeah.
he was running as well, which was quite interesting. I badly wanted to see Jay run the whole final because remember he said previously to Jordan and Bananas, if he ever made a final, it's easy money. So I wanted him to have that opportunity to run the whole final and show us how easy money it is to win a final. But he gets taken
I
out in an
believe him.
elimination
I
right at the
believe him.
start. You think he'll win it pretty easily?
Not like easily, not easy money, but I do feel like he is the type that is built for the finals. Like it goes towards his particular build and skill set and all that. I think he's that type of player. He's not going to win the power eliminations and the hall brawls and that. But I feel like I don't know what I'm basing it off of. I haven't seen it there yet. Like
Yeah,
I just get the vibe from Jay that it would kind of suit him. I
yeah.
think.
You're snowed. He's gaslighting you like he gaslit
Yeah.
Olivia earlier this season and talking her up about how she's the reason that Horacio got into a final and that if it wasn't for her magnificent gameplay, it would have never happened, you know? So you're just snowed by him at this point, Kuna. I want to see it.
He's in that same mold, like as far as athletic ability and stuff,
Watch out.
as a on a much lower tier. Let me set the disclaimer at the start. Nowhere near it.
People are going to come for you.
I think the same archetype, just a shittier version of the Jordans and Horacio.
Yeah, the
that
wish
mold.
version.
Yeah,
The
the
wish
wish version for sure.
of Jay, for sure.
Which Emmanuel is as well, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think Emmanuel's definitely not. I feel like he's superior to Jay. Like,
Yeah.
I still think he like. And again, we'll see what happens with the puzzles and things like that. Let's see what people are saying here. Corey L could have picked Emmanuel, which would have been good. Corey wanted revenge on Jay for being used. Chris says, I don't care the reason we needed Corey versus Jay element. Either could have gone. And I was going to ask the question, like, has Corey redeemed himself a little bit in people's minds? It sounds like he hasn't, but, you know, people have really disliked Corey throughout the season, and they had an even greater dislike of Jay this season for very obvious reasons. I thought maybe Corey, you know, he went up in people's estimation a little bit by taking Jay out because a lot of people wanted to see Jay's downfall. When you see someone rise to the top the way that he did, dominate the game like he did socially, politically, it was a messy game, but you can't deny that he had control for most of it. Normally, you want to see the fall of the king, and you know, someone like Corey coming in, delivering him some humble pie. It seems like it still hasn't changed people's minds on Corey at all.
Because it's too little too late, right? Like and it felt like he did it for petty reasons, not strategy reasons. No, no redemption. Corey still sucks because he didn't say like I'm doing it to
I'm
get
with you,
further in
Willie.
the game or whatever. He's doing it to say like because he said, we're the people that we used. You know, he used us throughout the season and blah blah blah. I'm like, you're standing in the finals. You used him just as much by being in his protection, by being under his wing. All these people that are like, oh, we were the ones that we used for votes. You're in the final. Like you used them for their power and their politics and their social game and got you there. So don't whinge and cry about being used. Like it was a mutually beneficial, like, you know, relationship there, and you're standing in the final. So I feel like he took him out for petty reasons, and it wasn't the smartest thing to do, even though it worked. Jay got beaten, I know, but it was an elimination, not like an actual final run. You know what I mean? They don't always have eliminations, like one-on-one elims in the final.
Lena thought that Jay was going to win. Angel Cake says, I feel Corey knew he should pick a guy for the big picture of the final, where if he won, he feels he'd just need to beat Emmanuel, but was nervous to pick Emmanuel, thinking he'd most likely lose, because I think he made the right choice, because Emmanuel is fast. So I feel like, Corey, for a big guy, let's give him, like, again, like, I hate the fact where people are always just like, oh, Corey is bad, he's horrible, he's this, he's that. It's like, can we give some credit, at least like a little bit of credit as well? Like, he is a big guy, he's got a big frame, and he outpaced Jay on this elimination, which to me was insane. And then Jay had an opportunity to still win this elimination, but he fumbled under pressure. And is that the guy really, Kahuna, that you think is like someone that's going to win a final? The one that when the pressure is on,
no, you're right,
and he needs to just do something as simple as putting blocks on top of each other, he freaking fumbles it when he's been in Survivor, where he's had high stakes situations, being in individual immunities when he needs to win it. Like, I expected more of Jay. I think he's the typical salesperson who's overselling himself. Like, he's overhyping himself. And I'd be happy to be wrong. Like, go out there, show us how easy it is. But I'm going to make a very bold statement here. Jay said at the end of this that, he'll continue to come back. Now he knows how to make a final. Jay, it's not that you know how to make a final. Everybody was removed for you to make a final.
Yeah.
If you're coming back in future seasons,
only chance.
I'm going to make a very bold statement. I don't think Jay makes another final. I really think this was his opportunity.
I am not going to disagree with you. I think this was the shot for him to take, because once he's not in that power position, he goes back to being the small fish again, and he can't play in those deep, scary waters with the other people that we know. Like,
yeah,
this was his chance, I think.
Yeah, I think I get this, you 2 Bearcat, like saying Corey has a bad rip for attacking females much smaller than him. Not a good look. There's a couple of times on the show, and I don't follow online stuff at all, so I don't know the tweets that are happening, or the X's that are happening, and the Instagram posts. I'm not on social that often in between episodes, but in the show, he's seen as being confrontational with women, where with men he sometimes takes a step back. He's not that he doesn't have that same energy, and I get why people don't like that. I fully get it. I think the biggest problem for Corey personally is he just doesn't know when to choose or how to choose his battles. I think if he can, I feel like that's something he can tweak, though. I think he can come back in future seasons and be better at that. But I totally agree. Thanks. I can't remember what it is that I said, but at one of the previous one, people were with me.
Jay never winning. Jay never going back to finals.
Chris, I don't always agree with Chris's hot takes, but when I do, yeah, see, that's why, like, I get you guys coming back, because every now and again, a broken clock can be right twice a day. Remember that, so that's what you're here for, those moments where we're totally in sync. AR saying Jay will never win a final. YouTube Bearcat says Jay cancelled his appearance on the official Challenge podcast. He is in hiding. Okay. Very unlike Jay, because he loves the attention normally. Darren says Jay's eyes under pressure looks like he's on cocaine. Yeah, I can see that. Fana says, I agree, Chris. Justin is never making another final. He won't be trusted. So a lot of people agreeing with that take. King Cooper saying, now that Jay's gone, who do you think will be the first survivor to win a main season of the show? I really hope they call D from 45. Yeah, I think D would be good. Michaela would be my bet, because Michaela wants to play the main show.
Yeah, Michaela.
But again, the problem for Michaela, though, is does she have the social...
Well, I mean, technically, Turbo's already won.
Yeah, Turbo's won. Yeah.
Yeah.
The main show. But, I mean, if we're talking about Survivor US, then I don't know. I think if Michaela makes a final, she has a shot. The problem for her is getting to a final in a season with a lot of vets, because she's also somebody that's very vocal. She almost also needed that CBS USA kind of franchise with a lot of other CBS players and Survivor players that she could work with, because I just don't think she's got the tact for it. If Desi ever wanted to play the main show, Desi would be up there for sure. Natalie Anderson.
USA 2 had the challenge vets. She's now played a season with against them. but with on the season, so it's not like she's completely away from the big vets. You know what I mean? Like she's got that season under her belt with them, so it could be a thing.
I also agree with W here. If Chris came in, just he's proven that he can go into eliminations, doesn't get flustered by it. So even if he comes in and they throw him in every single week, he's got a good chance of getting to the end and still winning. And he beat some really good competition in the final. Bananas. Who else
Yep.
was there? Fessy, Corey. Like these are like veterans of the show. So he's shown that he can play with the veterans as well. Lena says many vets respect Michaela on podcasts. They actually want to work with her now. That's awesome. Josh says I want to see Horacio Jordan and UK Theo on the same season. Can Devon make a return on season 40? Let's hope so. I'm a big Devon fan. I love Devon and her confessionals. Her and the person who shall not be named who played in War of Worlds, that was one of the most fun duos I've ever seen because Devon hated being paired to that person so much. And it made for great TV in my mind. But yeah, we get past this first part. We go into the chaos section, right? And now they've got rotating pairs. They've got 5 checkpoints where they will rotate. What was your thoughts on this? To me, it was basically now we see what we normally get to see in finals, right? Because the last couple of like offshoot seasons, if you look at All Stars, if you look at USA, even to a certain degree, this is kind of the finals we're used to seeing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And where you get the fortunes and the opposite, the highs and the lows, the rocks and the diamonds of who you are partnered with and how that can affect you. And to a certain extent, like how your voting choices and who you kept in the game can actually come back and bite you because you kept a goat in the game or someone that you want to, that's worse than you. And then all of a sudden you're paired with them for the most important bit or what could be a pivotal part or a station. The fact that there's 5 makes it a little bit less damaging for the you only partnered with Burner once out of the 5. You know what I mean? So it does add that little level of like variability, which I always enjoy. And that's where the fights come. That's where you see who can work with other people. That's where we've had people in the past like Fessy, who is a supreme athlete, turns out can't work with people. That's where we see someone like CT actually be the nurturing vet that brought Amber and really brought her along to win as long as she could run. And then we see people fight and crumble, and we get to see the rotations of all those iterations. I always love that element of it.
I love the fact that, not to talk about past seasons too much, but CT, you say that he was able to work with Amber and get her to do that, but it was the same season where he couldn't work with Big T and was horrible with Big T. So I think we kind of forget about that a little bit. I think as good as CT is, and definitely without him, Amber would have struggled. I think give credit to Amber for also stepping up to the occasion. It probably made it a little bit easier because I also remember CT being partnered with Veronica in Final Reckoning and not being the best of partners either. So these kind of things do happen, but to your point, we've been smack talking Emmanuel a little bit. I know I have, and I've not always been the biggest fan. I still think he's boring TV, but he is one of those people who works really well with people, right? That's why he won as many checkpoints in this one as he did. The first one, obviously, easy. He was doing it on easy mode, being with Colleen. She was being able to keep up with him in the running. They had to untangle the rope in the cage and then roll the cage over the finish line. They get first place in that. No dramas there. Berna really struggles. This is where she almost quits with TJ looking at her while she's on the floor with the kind of disgust in his face that I've never seen before, Kahuna. Like, he was like, what are you on about? Like, what did you sign up for? And it's kind of like, does this talk to the quality of international Survivor in Turkey and the level of endurance or mental fortitude that you need to get to the end of that game versus what we see in Australian Survivor or Survivor US and some of the other places? Because I kind of expected more.
I don't think you can take Burner as a representative of what the level of Survivor Turkey.
Because Turbo is also a 2-time Survivor Turkey winner, and he's a savage. So yeah, fair.
We've seen Burner act this dramatic over anything. I think a fly landed on her food once, and she threw it out and screamed and stuff. You know what I mean? Like Burner's gonna be Burner. She's over dramatic and gonna cry and make it much bigger than it is. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, okay, fine. Like I said, I retract that comment. I retract that comment. But still, it was funny. It was funny to see sort of TJ looking in the skies, being like, "What are you doing?" Being hard on them. And they do move on to checkpoint 2 here, which is the kayaking part. And this is where Emmanuel kind of shows a little bit of that. I guess patience. And
Mm,
obviously it helps because him and Burner are friends outside of the game as well. So he kind of like some people would be friends like Fessy and KC, and Fessy would still be horrible to Casey in a final, even
yeah,
though they're
absolutely.
friends.
Yeah.
But Emmanuel finds it within him to be like, no, we keep going until your body gives out on you. Like, we're gonna keep going. Don't worry, we got this. He's very calming. Like, this is good qualities that
Yeah.
Emmanuel has. Like, no matter the partner that he's with, he's able to adapt. And they were kind of lucky, and he was kind of lucky that the one portion of it where he did pair up with Burner was the kayaking part of it and not a running part. So that kind of helped.
Yeah, that was a bonus. Yeah, you're right. You're very charitable to looking at all angles because I wasn't looking at the good stuff that Emmanuel did as much.
Did you
Um,
look at the Burner's cheeks throughout the race, or like Mariah? Like, what were you looking at? Tell us, Kuna.
no, you can't really help that though with Mariah, unfortunately. She's
You're
just
like,
she.
oh, I have to rewind for the third time so I can take some notes on this segment. Lock in, Kahuna. And
But like,
next year is your wife on the couch being like, "What are you doing, Kahuna?
why are you
Rewinding for
watching?
the third
Didn't you
time."
just watch that? But you're right because I didn't pick up on it, but like as soon as Burner got paired when TJ flipped the cards and Burner's with Emmanuel, she like apologized to him straight away. She was like, I'm sorry," and he was like, "No, it's okay, don't worry about it." And
Yeah,
I heard that then, but I didn't sort of give
register.
Emmanuel the grace that yeah, that's actually good partner work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it,
No, he's
because
got
he
some like
carried it on. Yeah,
like listen, he's someone that is a bit of a dog on the personal side, cheating on his girlfriend. Like I said, not the first one. I'm not just calling out Emmanuel. And listen, I haven't been put under the pressure. I also don't like at this stage. I'm not in like anything that is to the level of what Emmanuel was going into the show. So like it's hard to put myself into those shoes. Like if you're there and you've got all these gorgeous girls around you, things may happen. But yeah, like I said, where did I go with this? Emmanuel, there's some stuff that we don't like, and definitely don't like the fact that he's not that entertaining. But I think as a competitor, he's got some pedigree, is what I'm
yeah,
saying. And he knows how to like adapt himself to the people that he is actually racing with. And that is important. But what did you think of Nehrus's shots that she took here at Mariah and the kayak, being like, I saw how she did in the kayaking challenge the season before with Fessy, and then doing the replay. I thought
yeah.
that was funny.
Just can't like. It was pretty good. N Nerys again, like she she struggled with the box challenge with Colleen, and she had some issues as well. But she is coming up as the star of this show. If she doesn't win, if Emmanuel is looking like he's going to win, the lost opportunity here for Nerys is so big. She's like anytime she says something, it's gold on the confessionals.
Oh,
Like
she's good.
she's so good.
Yeah, it's kind of what AR is saying here is I think what all us fans are feeling at the same time. He's saying, Chris, he's still boring TV, which I've never said he's not. He is boring
Yeah.
TV, and this is a boring final. Emmanuel is running away with the final because he has no true competition. No wonder I'm bored. I wish Nerys could beat him. So it's going to be tough for Nerys because she ends up timing out on a puzzle here on checkpoint 2, on a puzzle she just did in the elimination. How shocked were
Yes.
you about that?
Really shocked. Like it's like she forgot the tricks. Because remember, I was like, she saw the neck. It was like this very specific thing where
Yeah.
it looks like a box, but you have to get two triangles to make that. And she missed it on this one, like the trick to the thing, like that it's one thing that looks like another. And interesting. Like I don't know why after she just nailed two of them to take out the biggest competition, and then she kind of chokes it here.
So this one, if you wanted to sort of blame fault on someone and you're like, where could I have done better? This is one where you do put it on Nerys a little bit. Yes, she has to rely on Mariah also being able to do the puzzle, but she had the inside lane. If she smashed this one out, if she got first place because she did it in elimination already, people would have been saying, rigged, it's rigged for Nerys. They brought it back because they knew she did it against Kyland and Horacio, and that is how she won that challenge. Now, obviously, or I can't remember which one of the two it was that she did it, but she's done it before. But it went the opposite direction. She couldn't pull it out in this moment. So a little bit of blame can go there. All of us can, be in our heads a little bit under pressure. Maybe we don't perform as well. But the second one, I do agree with Chris. Definitely the box challenge was not Nerys or Colleen's fault.
No.
Them being paired together on that challenge, you just knew it was going to be a tough day for Nerys at the office. Like when she had to clock in and she knew Colleen was a partner for this one, where they're the only female team in this portion of it, where they have to go back and forth on that very heavy rope with the answers. And
which she struggled with in the first time as well.
Yeah.
Colleen could not do that.
Like Nerys said, she was basically doing it solo. And Nerys is not she's fit. She's obviously got endurance. She's athletic, but she's not like built like a Mariah.
Strong,
so it was a tough one to watch, and I just knew it was going to be uncompetitive when that happened.
Yeah. Even just carrying the boxes was like unfair for considering who the matchups were. You know what I mean?
Totally agree with that. Did you like the questions at least, Kahuna?
Yeah, I mean the level of difficulty in these trivia questions are never that high. Although one of them was pretty good. Like the fact that
did you know the Barbie girl one?
I knew the Barbie girl one. Absolutely. that just says more about my age than my taste.
Yeah.
But the Kazakhstan being completely landlocked, Emmanuel grabbed that one pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good one. But it makes sense that he would know because he's closer to
that area.
Yeah.
And he's not American.
100%. That is definitely a bit harder. No excuses. Welcome to the final. We got Chadud in the live as well, saying, good to be back. Good to have you here, Chadud. I hope you've been watching the challenge. I know you've been watching Survivor with us quite a bit. We've also got Fury Tiger in the live. Welcome, Fury Tiger. Another person we normally see for Survivor content. I hope you've been watching some of the challenge as well. YouTube Bearcat says Nerys and Colleen are basically the bottom feeders for this portion of the final. Yes, because they struggled, and Nerys had a couple that just did not go her way, like I said there, which definitely did not help. But she goes into checkpoint 4 having to do the eating food challenge. So obviously going into eating the food challenge here, we know it's going to be disgusting. I didn't take note of exactly what it was that they were eating, but not something that would have been appetizing for me. The biggest thing that stood out for me was like Corey looked like he was sitting down having some fine dining. Like he was really enjoying it.
Yeah. Even
until afterwards.
I said Nerys is like a star. Even this bit where she couldn't do it, it was very difficult for her. But the way she's going, she didn't make it like, oh, I can't do this. Like Berna was there going, oh, I can't do this. Nerys was like, you guys are nasty. You're
that would be me.
Like, yeah,
that would be me. It literally would be my comment from
here. You guys are the ones that are messed up for being able to do this in the first place. Like
for enjoying it. Like like Nerys, when she was saying it, I was like, you're speaking for me, girl. If I was out there, I'd be like, screw this. This is like, I'll continue to eat it, but I'd be like, you guys are nasty. Like, how can you enjoy eating this crap? Like, that's always the part in a final that I think I would struggle the most with if I was ever to do one. Like, I don't mind the running. I don't mind any of the physical stuff that they throw at me, the puzzles, whatever. But eating stuff like that, obviously Colleen, like what the hell? Like she was the first one done out of everyone. She smashed that down. And then the moments with Corey afterwards having all the vomiting going on, and they're like, I don't think it was Mariah. Quiet down, Corey. Quiet down. Like, what's the guy gonna
vomiting
do?
Is too loud and gross. It sounded too like visceral. You could hear the fluid and chunks.
Yeah. And TJ just eating it up, loving every single minute of it. What did you think of the fact that he got them to afterwards even still have an energy drink for dessert, the tuna energy drink for dessert?
Yeah. TJ, man, like TJ's come on this season. Like to me, TJ, I'm gonna offend a lot of people here because I've never really appreciated TJ's hosting abilities. I love TJ. I think he's integral to the show, but we know he's not like he's no Jeff Probst. He's not standing there being able
Thank
to
you.
guide
Thank goodness.
conversations like all that. Like the
Yeah.
fact that we had all
So
the
happy he's not.
ADR. Yeah, well, there's a side benefit of it, but he's not good at improving. He does so much ADR. There's so much recorded after the fact. But
Yeah.
then this
I don't
season,
mind that
he's
stuff.
letting his feelings known. He's coming out and like when Burner wasn't eating, and he's going, Colleen, what's going on? Like, what's happening, Colleen? Like, hey,
Yeah.
poke,
What do you do?
poke, and
Yeah.
and like, why don't you encourage her? Why don't you help her? And
Yeah.
Burner's like, you can sit down. Like, like TJ just like pouring fuel on the fire.
I love
Colleen's
it.
pissed.
Mm.
Bernard's struggling, and he's like, "What's going on, guys?"
But I think also a case like I hear what you're saying. For me, I've always no Probes or JLP. I love JLP as well, and Probes. I don't know. Like Probes used to be the man. Like recently, I feel like he's lost his way a little bit for me. And I'm a big Survivor fan, and I still respect everything Jeff Probst has done for that franchise. But that could be a different conversation. We should have like a podcast conversation talking about all the different hosts at some point. But
To me,
what I wanted to
TJ
say,
is Domino's Pizza, right?
yeah,
I love Domino's Pizza, but it's Domino's Pizza. You know, it's not 5-star Michelin food, right?
yeah.
But it's still great. Like it is what it is. He's not, the
He used
best
to be
host, but
so I
he's
think
great.
TJ used to be very like he was very neutral, never got too involved in the game. He had his moments, trivia, laughs, all that kind of stuff. Very friendly with the people. I get what you're saying, but in some ways he never wanted to be the star of the challenge, which I think was a good balance. But now recently with so many seasons, like he's done in 2 years, like what is it, like 6 seasons? Like I
Yeah.
mean, with that amount of experience, and it's almost like he went, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, he went into the time chamber and did training in the time chamber over the last 2 years and come out like a super host because he's just had so many of these.
He's getting runs on the board.
Yeah, 100%. Palaver Girl says TJ is a lovable sadist. Always. Yeah, made it back before the end. Welcome back. Hunter says, can we go back to that first drink? Did you peep how Jay drank and immediately? I did spit it out. They should be required to show tongue before vomiting. Like I felt like he was just like spitting it out. Like, what are you doing? Like, how is this possible? Because if it's possible, Hunter Green, like, listen, don't hate the player, hate the game, hate the ref for not calling it out. But yeah, I think that was quite interesting. Darren says TJ is great. They're trying to make him They are trying to make him Probes or JLP Paramount. CBS influence. TJ is TJ, and we love him. Jeff can stay on Survivor. TJ is king. Lena says true. Hunter Green. Some past vets admitted to fake vomiting. I can see that. The best host. Sorry. Yeah. And listen, different people like different hosts for different reasons.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, I like. Why are you picking battles, Kahuna, with a fandom for no reason? Like, it's like this is not the battle to choose. This is not the battle. You need to choose your battles. So obviously with this last one, it's that they've got some interesting, and it was interesting that Nerys, I think, paired up with Emmanuel on checkpoint 4 of all checkpoints. It's like, yeah, she's not even getting a benefit from that. So she's really had to do it tough in this segment. And then in checkpoint 5, they had that very interesting one where they've got these two. It's like a gutter system that is like individual
rolly ball thing,
and they had to roll the ball down. What did you think of this? It seemed like it was such an easy one to end on. Very lopsided if you think about the fact that in the beginning they had to do all this running, and towards the end, Bernard's not really much of a penalty for people getting her in this last segment of it.
Yeah, that's true. Like very, very different to the other ones. Like, I guess if they were trying, like the fact that you've got food, you've got trivia, you've got, like, I think they tried to make it like all the different skills. You know what I mean? They always try to make it a well-rounded thing. Whether the timing of ending on that was the best idea, I don't know. But it looked easy, but they struggled with it. Some people, they timed out, didn't they? Like some people timed out on it. Like, so it was way harder than it kind of looked like. But you're right, it didn't give the
Colleen
same.
Colleen and Bernard,
it didn't give the same disadvantage to people like a Burner or whatever.
Yeah, so Colleen, should she have had a consequence for timing out 3 times in the 5 checkpoints? Should the person who did the worst have gone into elimination automatically with Emmanuel potentially choosing who she faces? Like, would that have been a more fair way? Not that the challenge or a lot of these reality TV shows are ever really fully fair, but would that have been the better outcome in your mind? Because I'm kind of leaning towards that. That it feels like there needed to be
A
consequences for
consequence.
poor
Yeah,
performance. Yeah.
for sure. The like we on the dailies we talk about all the time, like bring it back to last place goes into elimination. You know, there needs to be
Yeah.
some repercussions for your performance. Um, and unfortunately, it's circumstantial for Colleen. She got paired with the worst person for the worst tasks basically every single time.
Mm.
And it wasn't necessarily her fault. She wasn't like great, but she wasn't as bad as being timed out on 3 in a row. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think she was that level of bad. But that's the luck of the game. That's the draw. That's how the challenge works sometimes. And yes, there should be consequences for being the last one. Going straight in, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. We've got Palava Girl says, poor Nerys being paired with all the challenge chickens. I pray Emmanuel underestimate her and pick her. Blood Money 47 says Emmanuel dominated the chaos portion while Colleen tanked the last 3. Chris says no, Colleen shouldn't have been given a consequence.
Oh.
Why? Chris, why do you not like drama? Why do you not like there to be this consequence? Do you want boring TV where Emmanuel gets to have all the power? Is that what you're saying, Chris? Is that what you're advocating for here? Blood Money is saying Emmanuel is going to choose Nerys to send to the elimination. Kiwi Skirt, welcome to the live. I did see you pop in earlier, but I don't think I've been able to say hello yet. Says, yes, agree with that, Chris. Should have had last against a man's pick. I think so as well. How is elimination going to work in chaos with no mercenaries? Yeah, and did they miss an opportunity here? Should they have had 2 champions there to be like, Emmanuel, you now have the power, but you're going to vote someone in to go up against the champion? Because to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that is
Because
even in a final, you got to beat the best.
Yeah, but then if they beat them, they come back and we've still got the same 7-person. Like, I don't know, 7-person final's not that bad, I guess, but they want to get rid of people.
They're going to go individual.
Yeah.
How does it matter?
It's true. It
And
doesn't,
it's
I
6
guess. You
people.
can still
Six
do it.
people.
Well, because Jay got out, right? But
Yeah.
so if Jay had played a champion and won, then we're still with 7. And then after chaos, if they had won, then we're still with the 7. Like, it could have potentially had 2 non-elims in these elims. And I think in a final against champions and the champions lose, that'd look bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Angel Cake says here, TJ is going to pole wrestle whoever Iman chooses. I think the question is, do we really want to put the contestants through that torture? Because TJ would be dunking on them. Like, the guy is an animal. Like, I wouldn't want to see TJ go and we need someone to be able to win this final. And if TJ should throw himself in there, then we're not going to have a new champion. TJ would be the new champion of the challenge if that happens. So I don't know if we want to go down that road.
TJ,
Lena asking, before logging out, quick question, where can I view the finale here in Cape Town? It's a good question. I haven't lived in South Africa for a very long time. And whenever I was there to watch the challenge, I think that I needed to do it via links. So, Lena, feel free to reach out to me. I don't know if you're in the Patreon for Angel Cake or if you can jump onto one of my socials and reach out to me, and I'll point you in the right direction on how to get it. Chris says they are replicating each portion. Chaos didn't have last place punishment. If this was the conquest portion, sure, but Chaos had no consequence for last. They established the rules, so no breaking them.
That doesn't sound like the challenge at all.
That is the teacher and Chris coming out, setting down the law to his students and being like, this is the book, this is the rule book we're playing by. We're not changing the rule book, and this is what it's going to be. But no, I get you. I see where you're coming from, Chris.
The challenge is not great at establishing rules and then not breaking them. Like, they don't establish the rules clearly at all, ever.
Yeah, we've even seen it in this season. Sometimes mid-elimination, they have to change the rules. Kiwi Skirt says, that would suck if Corey and no one would have a chance. Don't think they could do that, Drew. Willie says they probably will give Nerys a puzzle because production loves Nerys. Possibly. Brian says you have to figure there is going to be a draw. Kiwi Skirt says, against TJ, lol, didn't get that. plays the MTV, but they're behind the some episodes. I'm watching on one of those sites. Yeah, Hunter Green is over in South Africa as well. That's why he's got ZA at the end of his name. Palava Girl says, me when Jay got booted, but bye, politicking. Lena says, okay, thanks, Nidal. See you, Lena. So yeah, obviously we've got the big decision that needs to be made. We're going to see next week who gets chosen to go down. I had a sneaky suspicion he may choose Corey. He may be like, I want Corey out. Like he's maybe the only other guy that could do something very physical. I'd probably take him out as well in that moment. But that would be underestimating Nerys. And I would love for nothing more for Nerys to come back and dominate in the final portion of this. But a big, big race ahead because we've got a full episode of the final portion of this, which is going to be Conquest. So very interested to see how this final is going to play out. But so far, Kahuna, they've not taken it easy on these players. Like it's been a proper final.
It is a proper final. When I said I'm a bit mixed, my thing is like, considering who was left in this final and who is even people care about at all, I think they should have just made it one episode. Yeah. Like, even if it's an hour and a half, like a little bit longer, whatever, but we didn't need 2 episodes of Berna and Colleen and Corey and Emmanuel. Like, once the chips started falling in the last few episodes, and that bloodbath of losing Raven, Horacio, Kylan, Michelle, Olivia, like all these characters, and we're left with this. They should have just wrapped it up into one episode, I think. Like, no one wants to see Emmanuel or Corey get this big fanfare, like massive win, you know? Like, I'm a bit worried.
Yeah. 2 episodes for the reunion. Oh, can't wait for 2 more episodes of this cast to talk about everything we didn't see and why they're so great at this game and how we the fans just don't get it. You know, yeah, I don't know. I'm not jumping out of my seat for the reunion this year. I'll very casually.
I'm interested to see this one because I think they're going to try. I wonder if they're obviously going to set up 40. There's going to be some sort of like nods to 40. They'll bring the champions in order to set like a fight kind of thing. Like, is whoever in this cast is going into 40 will get a chance to be like, we're the new generation, like we're the OGs, and then it'll be like setting up season 40 for whatever they do. So I'm interested to see how they use it as a tool for season 40, essentially.
Yeah, Thana here saying I'm really ready for Nerys calling people out. YouTube Bearcat says here Jay gets blasted at the reunion, and then Hunter Green here saying Kahuna speaking nothing but facts, especially after the fans' reaction. Why draw it out? But it does come down to like YouTube Bearcat here says I think MTV is contracted to deliver a set number of episodes, so they were always going to do it regardless. But that is it here for this week's recap and review of The Challenge 39 episode 18, the first part of the finale. We will be back next week to talk about the conclusion of this season. I'm very interested to see who is going to be the new champion before we go into the reunion. And then for the reunion, at this stage, we don't have any plans to talk about it, but depending on what is being said there, maybe myself and Kahuna will come back to do a really quick take on both episodes, just like these are some of the highlights that stood out. What is our thoughts on it? And then sort of we'll wrap up all coverage here for the Challenge 39. But we will be back, obviously, for All-Stars action, a season that I have been waiting forward to for a very, very long time. So I can't wait for that to come around. And if you're also a fan of other shows and you're new to the channel, we cover Survivor US, which is going to be back very soon. We cover Australian Survivor. Currently, we're covering Traitors USA as well, season 2, which has been great. So make sure to like, subscribe, put the notification bell on and everything. And Drew, thank you so much for staying with us until the end. We really appreciate you. We're going to have to find some time for myself, Drew, and Chantel to get together as well to wrap things up on the draft for the season. Very interested to see if we're going to have a new champion or not. So it may still be very close with that as well until the end. But for now, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody in the live. Have a good night. Have a good day wherever you're watching. And we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.